All right, Jesse on Fire, welcome back to the channel. Now, we're going to talk about Sean Strickland today, but not just Sean Strickland relating to his fight, but we will talk about that. We're going to talk about Sean Strickland because he's a gift to society. I'm telling you that right now, or at the very least, he can be of service to people who don't really understand the world that they're living in right now, where things don't really make sense. Sean Strickland makes it all make sense. I bet you that sounds like a big claim for me to make at the beginning of a YouTube video on an MMA channel, but nonetheless, I am going to demonstrate a point that proves what I'm saying. Now, if you like the content, subscribe and ring the bell. We were live for like 3 hours last night. Sean Strickland was the main event, and I bet on Hermanson because I like to bet against guys that are on Extreme Couture. Well, actually, it's not necessarily guys who are on Extreme Couture. It's guys that I'm like, if I'm rooting against, I'm rooting for them. Like, I actually have like a vested interest in them winning in terms of like just my emotional state as a fan. I bet on the other guy. And that way it'll dampen the blow if my guy loses. I'll tell you right now, I've never been more excited to lose money than I was to lose it on Cyril Gane. Like, dude, I mean, I lost some serious cash there, and that was fine because I bet in according coordinates to what? Coordinates, that's not the right, I bet parallel to also not the right way to, whatever, you understand. I really wanted Francis to win, so I bet a lot of money on Cyril, and I was happy to lose the money. Jesus. But yeah, I bet on Hermanson because I really wanted Strickland to win because I love Strickland. And, I remember, the reason why I framed him as like he's a gift to society is because that's what Eric Nixick said to me one time, where I said something about like one of those Strickland clips came out, and I wrote Eric something, and he was like, "Dude, he's a gift to society," and so that was front and center of my mind this week when Sean is doing interviews. He's saying all kinds of crazy stuff that. I don't know how many people, like if I went and counted how many different people sent me messages this week, like, dude, do you think Dana's gonna reprimand Sean for saying this? Do you think he's gonna reprimand him for saying this? And I would look and it would something like, Sean Strickland referring to something as, like, that's gay, which is hilarious because everyone used to say that. Like, it's not a slur against homosexuals. It's just not. That just used to be kind of common vernacular. And that was one of those things that the activists and people that didn't like it, they won. I mean, they could just, if you want to, there's like civil rights and, people, equal rights, all that. But a big victory they can also claim is people used to always say that's gay. Even though usually that's gay wasn't like a really negative thing. It was kind of like, it was kind of like a jokey way to say that's not that cool. But then the other thing that they really won on was calling a dude an F-bomb, starts with an F, has a G in the middle and a T at the end. That was standard operating procedure back in the day. And it had nothing to do with a person's sexual orientation. Nothing. Absolutely nothing, at least in the way that it was used by guys in fraternities when I was in a fraternity, which apparently, when I was thinking about, I'm like, how many years ago was that? I was like, Jesus, I'm not even going to say that on the channel because it makes me sound 1,000 years old. But just take my word for it. A couple decades ago-ish, that was a word that flew around with commonality. People said it all the time. I think the majority of people that I ever punched in the face, it was like, oh, you've actually gotten me mad. And then now if I'm going to say anything in between now and me punching you in the face, usually it was emphasized by that word, which is so crazy. I would never say that word now. They've scared it out of me, dude. They have scared that word directly out of my vernacular. But anyway, so Sean doesn't get scared, right? Like he's like, that's gay, son. I was like, oh man, people sending it to me like, hey, do you think Dana's gonna reprimand him for that? I'm like, no, dude, absolutely not. Okay, and you want to know why? Because Dana doesn't care if he says that, just like I don't care if he says that because he doesn't mean it as a homosexual slur. Okay, I talked for 44 minutes yesterday about how when it comes to whether you're insulted by the N-bomb. If you're a black person, you can feel however you want about a person using that word. If you're mad, totally entitled to that, etc. The thing is that, like, I realized I might be completely contradicting that argument when I'm like, yeah, but this one, they don't mean anything by it. You know, I'm like, if you say that's gay, it doesn't even mean anything by it. You're like, dude, the last video that you just put up, you said that black people should be able, or are always entitled to being angry or hurt or whatever. They're entitled to whatever reaction they want if a person uses the N-word. But you're saying people can just drop, like, that's gay. And you know what, though? I'm not saying people can use the F word anymore. That is more equivalent. I'm not making any my points are not very good enough. There's no consistency here. But Dana is definitely 100% not going to reprimand Sean Strickland because he's just not. He's getting great publicity. The fact that people are texting his stuff around is a good thing as it relates to the incentive structure of the UFC, which is, are people going to pay to watch him fight? Obviously, it's good. Jeez. I mean, that really is a little bit borderline, don't you think? And these aren't like people that are sensitive. They're just people who understand the world that they live in now, you know, or kind of, you know, to a certain extent, where most people in most situations, if they used that particular term, would probably take some shit. But Strickland has already been kicked off Instagram, dude. He's gone. He's been kicked off Instagram. And Dana sure as hell is not going to participate in cancel culture. In case you guys have been watching a different movie for the last 20 years, there's a 0% chance that Dana participates in that. I mean, it's just, there's no way he's going to reprimand him for that. None. And which made me have this huge realization. So you go back to Eric. He's a gift to society. I could be butchering that, by the way. Eric, if you see this, if you said something slightly different than that, you know, whatever. Like I said yesterday, TikTok has melted my brain. But yeah, the realization that I had thinking about this exact situation was, I was like, no one even bothers, okay? Like, no one on Twitter, you don't see any Twitter mob coming for Sean Strickland. And that's not because he's, well, it's maybe partially because we realize he's a big deal and he's about to potentially be a really big deal. Like, if Sean Strickland figures out a way to win the title to where he gets really, really visible, he will be an enormous star. An enormous star. I am not actually sure if it would be dissimilar from if Nate Diaz won the title. Like, I think he's potentially going to be that popular. I think he's potentially going to be that popular if he has something that gets him over the hump, right? Like, he right now is a bigger star than Nate Diaz was before Nate Diaz beat Conor, right? Significantly bigger, actually. And, well, at least his potential seems bigger. Whatever. If he wins the title off Izzy, he will be such an enormous star. An enormous star. And guess what? If he goes and does a press conference and he goes, give me a break, that's gay. If you think that there's going to be a Twitter mob coming after him, you're wrong, okay? They won't. They won't. And why? Why is that? Same reason why I'm not giving them the benefit of the doubt when it comes to, like, you know, well, they could feel this way or that way. Is like, it's because it's an incredibly disingenuous group that's driven by other things. But the number one thing they're driven by is, can we make people jump because we said jump? This is disgusting. Hey there. Jeez. Did you hear the thing that guy said? Did you? We need him gone. I don't want anyone ever watching the UFC ever again because of what this guy said. I can't believe it. It's terrible. Yeah, so the reason they don't do that for someone like Sean Strickland is because they know Sean doesn't give a single solitary fuck what they say, and neither does Dana, okay? They don't fucking care. Dana would be like, shut up, dude. Shut the fuck up, you little weasels. Shut up, okay? I've been waiting for you guys to bring this to me for many years. I'm glad that you tagged me in your little post. Let me just talk directly to the camera. Fuck you, okay? I don't care what he says. I don't care what Sean Strickland says at all. And Sean Strickland's just gonna be like, what, they were mad? Hey, they can meet me in the octagon. We could talk about it there. They would get nowhere. They would just get proven to be totally ineffectual completely. And I thought about that and I realized, I was like, now I know who to blame for cancel culture. Simple. All this cancel culture shit, I know exactly who to blame. And it is the owners and operators of these companies, period. There is no, like, this proves it, okay? If companies, which also don't really, I mean, maybe I guess now some of them have been like infected by these like wokester college kids that like they got out of Yale. They're all, ooh, we got to get this kid from Yale. You're like, whoa, 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 whoa. I would not just jump on that. You might want to interview them. And I'm not talking about interview them to see how, you know, like what do they do their thesis on. Interview them about what are they going to do to your culture, you know? Because you definitely don't want to be in a situation where, like, if someone internally writes an email that's a little bit off color that is a very valuable person, that you're going to have an army of people trying to get you to fire them. You don't want that, do you? Oh, when would that ever happen? Well, look at that. Look at what your inattention to that got you. So, point being is if all of a sudden these corporations, Spotify being a good example, and it looks like they're going to stand tall, but like any of these corporations, get rid of them. We're like, shut up. Okay? How about you this tiny little group on Twitter that has figured out a way to amplify yourselves as if you're a much bigger group than you are? How about you take your fucking complaints and you go fuck yourself? Huh? How about that? I have a better idea. Instead of me firing my employee, how about you go get a fucking job? And if you have a job, how about you focus there instead of looking at us and pretending like you're insulted, you fucking pansies? Oh, geez, he hurt your feelings? All you're saying to me with that is, I don't have any real problems in my life. I have no problems, so I seek them out. I was talking to someone about this last night. Actually, someone you guys know. I was talking to Dr. Bo Hightower about this last night, okay? And what I was talking about is how the human condition, right? Human beings in general are programmed to survive in insane environments. Insane environments. Like, even people that are, like, worthless current state, like just worthless trash bags. If you drop them in the middle of the jungle and you drop them with a few people to where, like, you know, enough to, you're not going to drop like one person and have them be like survivor guy, but you drop like, call it 10 people, all worthless, into a jungle that actually has some resources, has some animals running around, has some fish, has some stuff that you could, if you could figure it out, you know, survive off of, living off the land. They'll figure it out. Okay. It'll take a little while, because they're worthless and they're used to eating Oreos, but they'll figure it out. And the reason for that is because humans are biologically programmed to survive in many, many, many different environments. We are incredibly adaptable, the most adaptable species there ever was. Now, the instincts to survive are there. Now, what do you think those instincts manifest into in like current modern civilized society? So all of a sudden you take all stressors away. Because what's the word for it? So like what ambition actually is something that people are able to channel their like survival instincts in a direction towards a goal that they have created, which generally, you know, has to do with innovation or, you know, building something, you know, monetary, etc. But generally, that goal is built around monetary gain because it's something that you want, okay? And then once you have everything that you want and you know you're gonna have money forever, that's why rich people go crazy. It's because they have nothing to do with their instincts to survive, because they know they have shelter, they have food, they have energy, they have everything they need to survive for the rest of their life, well beyond how long they would live, and they lose their mind. Okay, it's exactly the same with these kids. Like, these kids have not ever known hardship. They've never had to worry about anything. They're like, that's why the majority of these people are upper middle class, is because to them, the idea that they could ever be in a world where like food is not in the supermarket and their car doesn't have gas in it or whatever is unfathomable to them, right? So there's no struggle at all, none. And so they're still human beings. They still have all these instincts in them, which are like, could be used to go hunt in a jungle and survive if they were thrown into the jungle, but they don't know that. They don't know whatever. They don't know why they feel this way. And so they're like, I need to attack something. I need to create a problem. And he said, that's gay. I can't take it. I can't take it. I'm so angry. I'm like, go kill a fish, dude. I have a better idea. Instead of going on Twitter, why don't you go kill a fish? Go see if you can kill a fish. They'll kill a fish. Kill a fish. That's a much better use of your time than jumping on Twitter and trying to cancel somebody over a comment that had absolutely no effect on you whatsoever, and they didn't even mean it as a slur. Like, I have a better... Go kill a fish, dude. Go kill a fish, you little fucking weasel. Stop fucking with everyone, okay? Like, if you lose your job, you want to know what it feels like when you lose your job and all of a sudden you have no way to feed yourself? I mean, you know, I know you guys are just like, well, just give them money. Just give them money. But yeah, it feels like the word. It feels like it. I can only describe it as trauma. So you're trying to induce trauma on a person who wasn't trying to induce trauma on you. What does that make you? A bad person. Okay? So take your survival instincts and go kill a fucking fish, you little weirdo. Jesus. So thank you, Sean Strickland, for solving that. So now every American corporation or international corporation, stop responding to these people. This is your fault. Okay? Like, just have a blanket of, we don't fucking care what you say on Twitter, weasel kids. We don't fucking care. This will all end. It's up to you. Only you can save us by telling them to go fuck themselves. So yeah, thank you, Sean Strickland. Now, Sean Strickland looked incredible last night. If Sean Strickland, so basically here's where we're at. Oh, another thing about Sean Strickland being a genius. So Sean Strickland gets handed the microphone after a very impressive performance over Jack Hermanson. They're like, all right, so, I mean, I just assume all of you guys saw the fight. I don't need to like recap him, picking him apart. He is very good. His takedown defense is incredible. Like really, really strong. He is good, dude. His jab is also really good. And he could throw that thing at many, many different speeds too. He flicks that thing out there. He flicks that thing out there as if he has a kind of halfway lazy jab style. And every once in a while, he will throw a super stiff jab in there. And it's like, whoa. It's intentional. He spars all day long. He loves spar. Like you could see that's a dude that spars all the time, constantly. He's so comfortable in there. Anywho, I love watching him fight. So they put the microphone in front of him. And he could have gone a couple different ways. He could have just blown it. You know, like, I don't know. He could have demanded a title shot like a crazy person, which would have been good. But I actually think what he did was even better for him, where he said, you know, listen, I would love to get a title shot. I would love that. But I'm a company man. I'll fight whoever they put in front of me. Now, in normal times, right? A guy like Sean, in normal times, I would have said, no. You should have done something. You should have screamed into the microphone. Like you should have gone nuts. Normally, I would have said that. Gone crazy. Give him a soundbite. Cut a promo, right? But in this current state right now, okay, you gotta really understand the chessboard. And if you're trying to sell something, no matter what it is, you always need to understand who the decision maker is. Who is actually going to decide the outcome of this thing where I have a vested interest in it, okay? Now, in this particular case, it is Mick Maynard, Sean Shelby, Dana White, ultimate decision makers, right? And then, so I'll put Hunter in this also. Because what you have going on right now is you have contract disputes. You have Francis, your champion, like, I'm out. I'm going to, conquer the world doing something else that maybe I'll allow you to be a part of, you know? And then you've got whatever was going on with Izzy before this Whitaker fight that was so weird where like it wasn't signed 5 weeks before the fight and they're like already promoting it. There's something weird about that fight going on, which can only mean there was something going on with a negotiation, you got to assume. You got everybody in the world barking about fighter pay right now, right? So think about how those decision makers are feeling right now, you know? And you know, like anytime I talk about this, people are like, oh God, you're going to how could you even consider that Dana's a good person? Huh? How could you even think about that? And I'm like, I'm not getting into good, bad people. I'm talking about think about how they feel so that you can position yourself strategically. I know, God, just super high level stuff, dude. You know, like if you want to get something done and you know who is making the decision, think about how they feel so you know how to position the thing you're asking for. MIT level shit, man. So if you think about how they feel, what they feel like is we're under attack from all fucking angles. We're losing. We're the very first time. All of a sudden, we're losing a champion. So they're like, "Who do we want to be a champion?" We're looking for company men, and we're looking for company men that know how to fucking promote. Right? We're looking for guys that aren't going to try to fuck us. We're not looking for guys who are going to win the belt and then retire immediately and then try to hold our feet over the fire. We're not looking for someone who we create and then they don't promote their fights and then they do whatever. Like they're looking for loyal guys. A, to run their business, and B, because they're fucking human beings. You think they don't take it personal when people, maybe they don't actually, because everyone's always going to go after him about fighter pay. But whatever. Bottom line is, Sean O'Malley is like, I'm a company guy. I want to get paid. And they're like, we're going to pay him. And now Sean Strickland goes, I'm a company man. That was fucking smart. That was really smart. That was excellent. If he did that on purpose, like if the thought process that I just laid out is why he said that, then he's not just smart, he's a fucking genius. And by the way, I definitely just called myself a genius right there. Just making that clear. But yeah, that was, if he, in all seriousness, that's brilliant emotional intelligence if that's why he did that. Because that was that was just correct. And honest to God, I was trying to think about it afterwards. I'm like, if I was actually on his strategy team, I just laughed at like the idea that Strickland would have a strategy team. But like if I was, I'm trying to think if I even would have thought of I probably would have if I would have really thought about it and like, okay, so what's best? I probably would have spent my time trying to think of like who's the best person to call out, what's a really clever, funny way to do it. So I probably wouldn't have even gotten there. But if that's why he did that, super, super, super smart. Now, speaking of that, last thing. So I was I saw this clip of Eric Nixick in between rounds last night, which I will put in here if I remember.
Hey, you having some fun yet, you sick fuck? Holy shit. Beautiful. Hey, listen, I just need to keep poking with the jab hand. Good job on changing the level with the body shot. That's going to keep investing, right? So on that midline body shot, reload it. Hey, you having fun? Holy fuck.
Thanks, coach.
And you got to keep in mind, like, we're fresh off of the Francis fight, and everyone saw that clip in between those rounds.
Head movement, straight punches.
Look at me.
Take his punk ass down.
I believe in you, mother. Hey, we've been through so much together. This is you. You understand me? This is you, kid. Let's go. Pull it up.
And I'm going to talk about that in a second, actually. But basically, I'm just saying, like, everybody, and I've seen him Eric is my boy. For the record, oh my God, Jesse, you always talk about Eric and Francis and those guys. It's like, yeah, you want to know why? Well, first of all, Francis was always my favorite heavyweight fighter ever. But you want to know who the first inside person, like a person who was really like in the game for real, who came on my channel was? Eric. You want to know how many fucking subscribers I had when he came on? Not very many. So I don't know what people actually like. I don't have any idea what people's perception of me is. But in reality, I am a fiercely loyal guy. Like, I'll never forget that, dude. I could have 10 billion subscribers and have my own platform. I could be doing Daily Wire numbers. And that guy will have a skeleton key with me forever. And by the way, that is exactly where this is all going. Just is, dude. It's inevitable. Okay? We're going to be doing big things. I love this guy. And I love his whole team. But anyway, so Eric, I've seen him, in between the rounds. And he did, you saw how he handled Francis. And it was completely different. The Sean Strickland thing, he's like, you having a good time, dude? And he's like laughing at how much Strickland is whipping fucking Jack's ass. And he's like, you look like you're having a really good time. And it was just so diametrically different than how he handled Francis in between the 4th and 5th round in that fight, which was amazing, dude.
Head movement, straight punches.
Look at me.
Take his punk ass down.
I believe in you, mother. Hey, we've been through so much together. This is you. You understand me? This is you, kid. Let's go. Pull it up.
The ability to read your fighter, okay? Like, and this is, okay, now I'm actually, all right, now I'm being serious. Like, if you're managing people, whether it's as a coach, as a manager, CEO of a company, head of a division, whatever, if you are in charge of getting the best out of your people, what is going to determine who can be great at it, like actually excellent at it, in my opinion, are people who have the ability to read their people and mold their approach with them to the person. Because what you're actually looking to do, what you're trying to accomplish as a coach or as a manager, etc., is you're trying to draw motivation out of people. Everyone has a baseline capability And, obviously there's talent involved, whatever, and then there's preparation, whatever. But everyone kind of has like this, they've got a range that they're capable of, right? And all the preparation, all that stuff, you get as much motivation out of them as you can throughout to get them as ready as possible. And then on the day of that you need them to perform, whether it's a presentation, whether there's a fight, whatever, your job is to get the best out of them, get the best performance. And you do that by like drawing emotion out of them. And you need to know what emotion makes them perform their best. And then you need to know what approach gets that emotion from that person. And the answers are very different for every single person. Like I know a ton, like tons of guys, because I talk about this in business a lot. Like I've managed guys where if I went to him, I was like, dude, you are our guy. You got to understand, man. Like when I need something done fast, you're my guy. You have to know that. And that is like to them having that level of kind of confidence and that I trust them that much bestowed on them is like a blanket they never want to take off. And they will make sure that they deliver that stuff and that they'll crush it because they love that type of feedback. And there are other people where if you need to get the best out of them, you're like, listen, man, like seriously, this is really important. Do not fuck this up. Like, don't fuck this up. You understand? Like you look at him, out of the corner of your eye and you can put a little bit of fear in him. Like if you fuck up, like the fear or the anxiety gets the best out of him. And there are other people where if you try to pep talk them in any way, they're like really self-driven and they don't like it. They makes them feel like you're babying them or whatever. And also it depends on the situation. So with Sean, you guys saw it. It's perfect. And with Francis, this is the part that I loved about that, dude. I don't know where I'm going to put this into the video right now, so I would probably structure what I'm talking about better if I knew exactly where I was going to put it, but it's just not how I do things. But if you listen to him in the corner with Francis, right? You've got one coach in the set. You hit him with straight punches, or I can't remember exactly his name. Hit him with straight punches. You do whatever. He's giving him like technical advice, and Eric slaps him on the shoulder and is like, "We've been through so much together. I'm here with you. This is you." And then he goes, "Everybody up." Like it wasn't just that he knew that right there, like, because now, this is different. You're not between the first and the second round now. Like you're not between the first and the second. There's still a lot of fight to go. It's fucking 2 rounds to 2 in the championship fight that has more on the line for you and me and everybody involved than any fight that I or you will have ever or will ever be a part of. It's not time for technical advice, dude. It's not time for technical advice. And that's true with that's not true. With some people, the way that you're going to keep them calm and get the best out of them is to pull away from the weight of that moment and be like, look, you are killing him when you're hitting him. When you're moving right, circle away from his power hand, hitting him with the strike. That's all that fighter, keep him focused on the X's and O's. Don't make them think about the gravity of what's going on. And that would be the best thing with some people. And with Francis, he knew it was like, you're my fucking guy. You and me are in this ride or die together, and you got to go in there and do this for us. And then when people started talking after, he's like, that's it, get up. Like he knew. He's like, that's what we leave Francis with. That's what he needs. And he was right. And Francis went in there with a fucking torn MCL, and he won the 5th round. Like in the 5th round, he had to fight to win that round, and he won heroically. That is an exceptional coach, and you can just see it right there. And it's hilarious. Like Eric, if you watch him, man, like he lives it. Like you can just see he is coaching all the time, and that's why his guys do so well. It's very impressive, dude. When I saw the Strickland fucking clip last night and then just remembered that Francis one, I was like, man. I hit him up on Instagram. I was like, dude, that is the sign of an exceptional coach. Congratulations, good sir. I'm going to do a video about it. But so keep in mind, you guys, if you run a large organization, okay, if you just happen to be watching this and you're like the CEO of United Airlines and someone says, hey, one of your employees did blah, 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 the answer is go fuck yourself, okay? So from now on, go fuck yourself. That's the key message of this video right here is go fuck yourself. And I'm out.